time. Joining us is a member of the House Select Committee on China, South Dakota Congressman Dusty Johnson. Welcome, Congressman. I don't use it, but for those among us who do and don't want it to go away, tell us why this law passed.
Well, of course, TikTok is just Chinese malware. It's just junk food for our brains. But that's not why the House and the Senate came together in strong bipartisan fashion to force the Chinese Communist Party to divest themselves from TikTok. The reason we did it, Trey, is that you can't allow a foreign adversary to control that much of the American public square. We would never have allowed the Soviet Union to buy the Wall Street Journal, the New York Times, the CBS Evening News in the height of the Cold War, and we should not allow the Chinese Communist Party to do it today either.
All right, I know that there are young people that are upset because I have some in my own life. So I'm gonna give you a chance to be crystal clear because you have access to information that other people do not have access to. The connection between TikTok and the Chinese Communist Party, lay out what you can for them on that issue.
First off, I would put their minds at ease. I promise you, American teenagers, there are other platforms where you can see cute dance videos. The TikTok is not an important part of your life, even if you feel like it is. Here's the reality, though. We have whistleblowers that have told us that the Chinese Communist Party has used that data for a breathtaking number of ways to go reduce liberty in this country and abroad. I'll just give you one example. A journalist had TikTok on their phone. They went to go interview a Chinese American family about repression in China. The Chinese Communist Party figured out, not because the Chinese Americans had TikTok, but because the journalists did. They were able to identify who those Chinese Americans were. Then they gobbled up their family. They picked up their family still living in China, have imprisoned them, and that family has not been heard of again. That is repression. That is tyranny. Let's not let the Chinese Communist Party do that sort of thing with our help.
Congressman, there will be court challenges because there are always court challenges. How do you evaluate claims of free speech with the right to protect citizens as you just laid out from malevolent actors?
Well, our federal government cannot regulate content, and of course, that's not what we're doing. I mean, if you want to put junk food garbage into your brain from TikTok, that's fine. I suspect they'll sell it to somebody else, and you'll still be able to mainline that garbage into your brain. We're not regulating content here. We're regulating conduct, which is clearly permissible. All we're saying is that this platform has to be managed and controlled by somebody other than one of our foreign adversaries. I suspect that is going to hold up to scrutiny.
Before I let you go, Tony Blinken is worried China will interfere in the coming general election. Here he is, and I'll ask you a quick question on the other side.
I've seen, generally speaking, evidence of attempts to influence and arguably interfere, and we want to make sure that that's cut off as quickly as possible.
You know, Congressman, I think the irony of talking about election interference while his boss is actually prosecuting the GOP nominee is a little bit lost on him. But regardless of that, every cycle we now hear allegations about election interference by foreign actors. How concerned should we be this cycle?
We should turn the concern dial all the way up to 10. We know that during the last election, 3/4 of the misinformation campaigns on Facebook were traced back to Russian troll farms. China has made an even bigger investment in recent years. We now know that Chinese hackers and propaganda artists outnumber our cybersecurity professionals with the federal government by probably 50-1. We have got to wake up to this threat. And frankly, all of us have got to quit sharing information that we don't know is true on our social media platforms. China and Russia are going out of their way, Trey, to try to make sure that white is fighting black, that rich is fighting poor, that the city folk are fighting the country folk, Republicans versus Democrats. When we share information that might be propaganda from the CCP or from Russia, we are doing their bidding for them. When America is united, nothing can beat us. China and Russia figured out that pot-stirring Americans helps make their life a whole lot easier, helps make the Chinese and Russian tyrannical regimes' lives a whole lot easier.
You're right, Congressman. The only force that can defeat us is us. Congressman Dusty Johnson from the great state of South Dakota, thank you for joining us on a Sunday night.
Thank you.